Welcome to
What the World is Watching.
Here's your host,
John and Doska.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Can you feel it? The excitement, it's in the air. We're just a few short days away from the 2015 Royal Rumble, and I got to say, I am really looking forward to this because it's not often where we get a Rumble that we don't know really the outcome, where it's not as predictable as it's been. So, it could go any number of ways. That's the way it should be. That's what makes it the most exciting hour of wrestling in the entire year. Hopefully it's an hour. I hated when they made it like, just a minute in between each, entrant back in like 95 and all that. That sucked. So hopefully it's the way it should be, the traditional way, the full 2 minutes. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Rumble on Friday's show. Not necessarily the Royal Rumble coming up, but more of the classic Rumbles and different things you should watch to really get excited. So if you got nothing to do on Saturday, you should be sitting home watching the WWE Network and watching old Royal Rumbles, at least in my opinion. That's probably what I'll be doing. But first, I want to get to today's show because today we have interview guest who is very timely because of the induction of his brother, Randy Macho Man Savage, into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. It is the one and only genius, Lanny Poffo, and, it was just announced on Raw a little over a week ago now that Randy would be inducted, and this is something that a lot of fans have been waiting for, including myself, for so many years. We've been, it's been great speculation as to, why it hasn't happened sooner. You know what? It all doesn't matter now. The only thing is we wish that Randy was still with us to actually be there. That would have made this, even that much more great. But, we'll take what we can get. It's definitely something that's well-deserved. And, whatever you say about the Hall of Fame, whether it's, just a work or it's not something that's, very... should be taken seriously. Some people say that because, Pete Rose is in there and they have the Celeb Refrigerator Perry and, even Coco Beware, people like that. I guess the thing about it is for me is whatever we think about it as fans. I mean, I guess knowing it means a lot to the wrestlers themselves. That's what's important. So if it means a lot to them, then it should mean something to us. If we're fans of theirs. So it's going to be really interesting to see who else they induct this year. But having Randy Savage as the headliner is going to be something that's really special. And, talking to Lanny, I know it's something that's going to be really special too. We kind of talk a little bit about that, about him being in the Hall of Fame, about Randy being in the Hall of Fame, and, why he's decided to kind of let that happen. And before, as you may or may not know, that there was, the comment is that, Randy didn't want to go into the Hall of Fame without being in with the whole Poffo family. So, but that's not the case. That's not what's happening. It is just Randy by himself. So, Lanny talks a little bit about that, and we also, we touch on, as we do on the show here, Lanny's other interests. So, we don't really focus too much on the Hall of Fame stuff. And in fact, we get to that later on, much later on in the interview. But, as you've heard on the show, or if you're joining us for the first time, this is what we do. We focus on the interests of the wrestlers or the wrestling-related guests that we have on. It's what they're into, what they're watching, what they like, and just getting to know them on a different level, and maybe a little more personal level, and a different level as fans themselves of wrestling and all that. So really encourage everybody to check out our previous episodes. We've had interviews with Jim Cornette and Vince Russo so far, and we have a lot more really exciting special guests coming up in the next number of weeks. So stay tuned for that. And I do want to tell everybody, I don't know if you're listening to us, if you've subscribed to us, if you're, downloading us, or if you're streaming us, whatever you're doing, you could find out everything that's going on with this show and more at 999nation.com. That's short for the Network Nation website that we've created. We really want to create, again, as I've said in the past, a sort of network of, people can share their experiences and share what they love about the WWE network and what they don't love, for that matter too. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do. But everything else is related to this podcast here. You can find at 999nation.com, and you can look for us on you can find the show on YouTube, and you be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, and also be sure to leave us some feedback too if you like what you hear. And again, if you don't like what you hear, let us know too, and we can try to improve things here. But we really appreciate everybody who's downloaded and comment and sending messages into us. We really do appreciate it. And again, we have a lot more great things in store. But I guess that's the big thing here. Is moving forward. If there are any certain guests you want us to try to get, or especially if you have any questions too, we're going to start taking fan questions here pretty soon. So if there's anything that you'd like us to ask, definitely let us know. For some of these guests, as soon as we announce a guest, we'll let you know when we have that all set, and then you can send in your questions and everything so forth. We would like to make this as interactive as possible. So that's the plan moving forward. But I think that's enough for me for right now. I think it's time to get to our interview with Lanny Poffo, which we will hear right after this.
At the Royal Rumble, there'll be 29 other men in the ring. They'll be coming in by order of a jaw. I don't care what jaw I get. I can be number 1 or I can be number 30. It doesn't matter because the Quake is gonna win the Rumble. The most dangerous match in the world, the Royal Rumble. Plenty of the toughest and the roughest men all in the ring at once. And this time, Cousin Luke is going to stay in there, and he's going to beat one by one. And in the end, he's going to find who the last man is. And if it's you, Butch, you're going out. Yes! The Royal Rumble, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Greg the Hammer Valentine has signed to be in this Royal Rumble. 30 men. And there's only one man that I can count on, and that's me, Greg the Hammer Valentine, because this is a match of individualists, and I'm going to go through whoever I have to win it.
Shane Douglas is a newcomer to the World Wrestling Federation. This is my first Royal Rumble. I plan to be around for a lot more. Somebody came up to me before and they said, Shane Douglas, you realize you are an underdog. So the very best of the World Wrestling Federation will be there that night. I've always used adversity to my advantage, and that night at the Royal Rumble, I'm poised for an upset.
Joining me now is a member of the legendary Poffo family. He's a writer, wrestler, poet laureate, and a genius. Lanny Poffo, thank you so much for joining me.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm still living in the past. And you're the first interview I've had at the age of 60.
Oh, wow. Well, you just had your birthday recently. Happy belated birthday.
December 28th I became 60 years of age. And you young people and your music, and pull your pants up and turn that music down.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because you don't look. If anybody was to see anybody sees a photo of you now or gets to meet you in person, you do not look your age by any stretch of the imagination. John? You know what I want to hear. You keep that up. Well, it's one of those things too. It's seeing you. I guess it's besides the fact you did have the facial hair and everything else back when you were in the WWF and all that. But if other than that, you can't really tell that you've aged much. So what do you attribute that to?
Well, first of all, the facial hair was attributed to I was trying to look older.
Oh, okay.
But now that I've reached, I wouldn't call it middle age, because I don't know anybody 120. But I'm certainly not trying to look older now, so there's no excuse for me to grow facial hair. So I attribute it to, I follow people like Paul Bragg, Joel Furman, Rick Esselstyn, Plant Strong Diet, greens, onions, mushrooms, beans, berries, and seeds. I'm a vegan. However, when I just came back from Ecuador, and when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I wasn't as fussy about what I was eating. In fact, I ate a dish called cuy, which is not good for vegans, but it's about Do you know what coulis is?
No, I don't.
Okay, I hate to break it to you, but it is guinea pig.
Oh, okay.
And
I have two of those in my house.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what was off-putting. They didn't even have the decency to cut his head off.
Oh.
And that poor little face was looking right at me.
Oh.
And his claw. So I wept, and then I ate. and then, anyway, I will never, ever do it again. But I just wanted to be able to say that I had coulis.
Well, how did you get into, Paul Bragg as the miracle of fasting and all that stuff, and there's the Bragg apple cider vinegar, and that stuff's been around for a while. When did you first kind of get into the kind of the healthy mindset? Is it something that's always been there? Did you discover him on TV, or how did you find him?
Well, congratulations on knowing all that. And I would say I was in Hawaii in 1967 and 68, and my brother and myself and my parents went to the Ilikai Hotel where they were having the Mr. Hawaii contest for 1968, and I don't remember who won, but I do remember that we were there early, and there was a lecture by Paul Bragg before the contest, and I was just pretty much amazed by this guy. He had a evangelical speaking style. So then when later on I picked up The Miracle of Fasting and some books. But when I got into wrestling, I kind of let it go because I was too skinny to be a wrestler, and I needed to concentrate on building my body. Well, now that I'm no longer in wrestling, it doesn't matter what I weigh now, and I don't have to think about protein and animal protein or whatever. So what I'm trying to accomplish is just I'm going to try to stay young and keep my arteries nice and big so they don't get plaque or, I don't. In other words, I've wanted to be like the Macho Man all my life, but not now.
I see,
Because he died of ventricular fibrillation, which is a cardiac arrhythmia, which is the same thing. It's a type of heart attack. It's a heart disease. But if there's any way I can prevent that, I'm going to.
Absolutely. Are you still fast? Do you still fast to this day? I mean, a lot of people, might not know, but fasting's more than just not eating. There's a lot more to it. Is that something that you still practice?
Well, I definitely fast 8 hours a night. And that's before breakfast.
Right, yeah.
So that's where the word break fast comes from. I fast 24 hours a day, 24 hours once a week.
Oh, okay.
So usually that is on Monday, is my fast day. But if I only do that, and I do that with, let me explain something. It's not a legitimate fast because what I use distilled water, Bragg apple cider vinegar, and kale in a blender, not a juicer, a blender, and a couple of cloves of garlic, which is not only good for your arteries, it's also very good birth control because no one will come near you. and I mix it, I put it in the blender and drink it. And so my fast is actually more nutritious than a lot of people's diets.
I see. So are you? So I guess taking all that into account and everything you're doing now, back in the day when you said you were on the road and everything else, how hard was it to sort of, were you still health conscious or trying to be at that time when you were on the road? Because I'm sure it was a lot harder than, because even McDonald's has salads and things like that now, but back then I'm sure it was a little more difficult.
It was more difficult when you were riding with somebody. I'll tell you, you want to know, John, what makes me angry and just thinking about it? For some reason, I accepted it as that was the way it was. I'd be in the car with a bunch of guys, and they all be smoking in the car. Then I get to the locker room, and they'd be smoking in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Then I go out and wrestle, and the audience would be smoking, and I was breathing in and out really hard. And then I get back to I was never away from smoke, even though I never smoked. But I must have smoked for, And now I try to be a nice person, but if somebody is trying to smoke in my presence, I will be rude. I will leave, and if he follows me, I will say, look, you're polluting my air.
Mm.
So, I've become, now, I wouldn't have survived in the wrestling business with that attitude because it was one man against the world. But now the world has joined my team, and the smoker is now ostracized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like everybody's... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. To answer your question, it's much harder on the road even now. But I always, on the internet, I try to find out if there's a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's or, or I just go to a grocery store instead of, a restaurant or something. And, I just I do the best I can with what I have, which is not advantageous.
Besides the guinea pig that you had in Ecuador, is there anything that you do kind of indulge in? Like when you say, do you ever have a cheat day or something where you say, I'm going to have, do you ever sort of let it go at any point, or is it do you stick to it pretty well?
Well, let's put it this way. I was at a Christmas dinner, and I didn't want to offend my guest, so that would be my cheat day when I don't want to offend people.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't mean I had to have the pumpkin pie or the. In other words, I ate what I could, but I wouldn't have dessert because. Sugar, according to many people, is a big no-no. Now, John, having said that, I'd like to announce to the people that are listening that doesn't give me any authority to say that I'm going to be alive tomorrow. I could die in my bed tonight. Tomorrow is promised to no one. And if you're in a fool's paradise just because you think that because you're a vegan, that you're not going to die. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to live to be 100 or die trying. If that means I only get 1 day or 2 days or the 40 years, but I'm staring at the wall, loading my diapers. I still want to try to live to be 100. To me, I love life. I love my life, and I'm really enjoying myself. And I think that health is the most important thing you have if you want to be healthy and happy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at everything, and I think it's also a good mindset to have. When you see a lot of people that have since passed it, especially in the business that you're in, and a lot of people that maybe go before their time, unfortunately.
Right, and there's cases like, I'd like to just say that my brother had a non-drug related death. And, for a celebrity, that's kind of rare because almost all the celebrities die the Amy Winehouse death.
Sure.
And another exception would be a horrible tragedy, like, for example, Owen Hart. That was just an unfortunate, horrible tragedy that was, it was just unspeakable.
Yeah, that's something that's still so memorable. I'll never forget, seeing that as it happened. And but switching gears a little bit here, one of the things that you've been best known for is your poetry, and a lot of had a lot of memorable moments doing that and everything. I wanted to ask you. I know we all know about how you kind of got started doing that in WWE, how you were on the TNT show and all that. But how did you get into poetry just in general? What age did you sort of discover it and sort of get into that?
My fifth grade teacher, who is from Archbald, Ohio, not too far from Toledo, where you're at.
Yep.
She was my fifth grade teacher in Downers Grove, Illinois, and it was like the third day of school, and I was in love with her. She smelled good. I was 9 years old. I didn't know anything about, what boys and girls do. I was very sheltered. But she says, Lanny, I need to see you at 3:20, which is the end of class. And so I thought to myself, what did I do? And I walked up to her, and I was just scared of her. And she says, Lanny, I've had you write 2 papers so far, how I spent my summer vacation, and tell me a little about yourself. And your papers were just wonderful. And I said, oh. And I felt like, now Casey and the Sunshine Boys hadn't started yet. But I think the big thing was, but the baby, he ain't seen nothing yet. Or maybe I got the wrong author. Is that did I say anything wrong there? Is that who wrote that?
I'm going to be embarrassed too, although it's a little before my time. I don't know exactly who did that. So maybe we can edit that portion out, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, that doesn't matter. And another thing, I was wrestling in Nashville when I was about 22 years old. And unfortunately working for Nick Goulis, but he treated me well. And a strange bald-headed man came up to me and told me that he really enjoyed my wrestling and my interviews. And he asked me if I would join him and his people for dinner after the matches. And I lived in Nashville, and I had absolutely no reason not to go. He seemed just a little strange, but in a good way. And as we were talking, he had about a party of 10, some children, and I said, wait a minute. Are you Shel Silverstein, the author of The Giving Tree? And he says, yes. And I said, I love you. And, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that I had read some of his books, but I didn't know that was him.
Wow.
And he was in Nashville doing country music. He wrote a song for Johnny Cash. It was A Boy Named Sue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my dad had left home when I was 3. He didn't leave much to mom me. What a phenomenal guy. And then many years later, I think it was about 1993, I'm coming back from Dominican Republic, and I'm in the Miami airport, and I think I see Shel Silverstein, except he looks horrible now. He's aging like crazy, and I wasn't sure it was him anyway. So I walked up to him and I said, "Excuse me, are you Shel Silverstein?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, my hair is different, but I used to be Leaping Lanny Poffo, and that became the Genius. And you entertained me in Nashville many years ago." And he said, "Lanny, sit down. Oh my God, what's this?"
Wow.
So what a great. It's amazing that God puts people in your life, and of course, He changed my life because I probably wouldn't have been so encouraged and blessed if I had not met him, because he was quite inspirational. But I did say the wrong thing, and he got mad at me. I told him that I had an idea for a book, and it was because 4,000 children start smoking every single day in North America, and in the absence of genuine leadership, they succumb to peer pressure. And I asked him, if I wrote limericks, do you think that would be a good idea for a book? And he looked at me and he says, "I thought you were a smart guy, but I guess I'll have to reclassify you."
Oh.
He says, "Do you mean to tell me that you feel something in your heart, but you're asking me permission to write just because my name is Shel Blanking Silverstein? We've got freedom of speech. Speak!" And he screamed it. And I thought to myself, why is this crazy old man yelling at me? But he's not a crazy old man. I was a lazy young man, and he knew it. And that was his way of jostling me. And then I regret to say that I didn't get published for the smoking book until 2004. and he died, I think, 1999. So I wasn't able to say thank you for here's my published work. I wasn't able to tell him that, and which is unfortunate. But we don't, there's only a finite number of times a bumblebee's going to flap its wings, so we have to make the most of every moment.
That's a really great story, especially somebody that prolific as an author, and to have that sort of to be able to be inspired directly by them is pretty special.
Tell you what, I only met him twice, but what a difference he made.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, I guess, about sticking with the poetry here. Do you remember the first poem you wrote? I know a lot of songwriters and people kind of remember the first song they put together. Do you still remember the first poem or trying to put it together? Was it difficult for you, or did it just sort of come out?
My first poem I ever wrote was a haiku, which is a non-rhyming situation of 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5. So I think I was in the 4th grade, and I wrote, "Oh, how I would hate to write haiku like this one without getting paid." So that was, and when I read it before the class, they laughed. So I took that for popularity.
Right.
And, I realized that you could be, humorous and get people to like you, or make people laugh, which is the sweetest music to my ears. When I turned heel, I realized that I was going to be a comedy heel. And, so many, there's nothing wrong with being a serious heel, but even the Macho Man knew that comedy was important too.
Mm-hmm. When you were a heel, or even just when you were a babyface too, did anybody ever take exception to anything that you might have said in any of your poems or anything like that?
Not to my face. Probably
Sure.
everybody. Probably everybody took exception, but I guess when your brother is a Macho Man, I guess that keeps everybody from striking.
Sure.
Would you do to my little brother? Oh, they don't want to see him.
Right. Absolutely.
Now I got to be careful, but he's not here to protect me anymore.
Well, do you have a favorite one or a couple of favorites that you've written? Because I remember back at FanFest when your family was inducted in the Hall of Heroes, the one that you did for your brother was just phenomenal. I mean, it really was really great moment to see you there and to see you do that. So, is there any that you have that are have special meaning to you and that you look back most fondly on?
Well, I'll tell you what, that poem had a lot of meaning to me because it was the only time in the WWE that I was ever in the ring with the Macho Man on television.
Yeah, with his coronation, right?
Yeah, or not on television. And I'll tell you what really meant something to me, and I tried to keep the speech a little bit short, was I was in, about a year after Randy died, I was in Los Angeles for a fan fest type of thing. We sign autographs and see the guys and everything. And a Filipino family came in from Manila, and their little 10-year-old girl wasn't very big, just a little tiny girl. And she delivered that poem to me better than I delivered it, in Charlotte.
Wow.
And I said, how did she learn that? And because they got the Macho Man DVD, and one of the extra features had that poem in it, and she played it so often that she remembered it. And, English is her second language.
Yeah, wow.
So that kind of meant something. If you don't mind, let me read that one, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Behold, this humble entourage, their heads are bowed in reverence at the very slightest whisper of one name, exalting in its splendor, which is altogether fitting, of the people and the lands from whence he came. False monarchies are commonplace as kingdoms rise and fall, but I have a genius full of glory and renown. Say the Macho Man is everything that everybody everywhere would ever, ever want to wear a crown. I say this king deserves a queen beside him on the throne, and Sherry is the fairest in the land. Nobody else is worthy of this monumental honor and the regal splendor of his royal hands. We witnessed the dethroning of one Jim the Hacksaw Duggan, whose crown and robe are in a state of ravage. I now remove my mortarboard and place it near my heart, and thus proclaim you Macho King Randy Savage. I really, I don't know, I really like that poem a lot, and it just made it made me feel happy that this little girl thought enough of it to learn it and recite it to me.
Absolutely.
So I gave her a free book, and I autographed it to her, and I gave her a hug, and what a sweetie. And she sure did make this old man feel young.
Oh, that's a great story too. I want to ask you about that, maybe that poem in particular. How do you go about doing that wordsmithing that you do? Because it's just the way it sounds, just the way not anybody could just do that. The way that there's a real art to that, and it sounds so majestic. It fit the occasion of him being coronated, and it fit the occasion also. Years later at FanFest, but. How do you go about doing that? Is that something that do you play around with different words, or does it sort of just flow out? I mean, what's the actual process of putting something like that together?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was in Nashville, I read a book called "How I Write Songs and Why You Can" by Tom T. Hall.
Mm.
And what I was really trying to do is become a songwriter, but I learned quickly that I didn't have the musical gift. I had the lyrical gift.
Mm.
So I used to just count my syllables, but now I don't have to count them because I feel them. You see what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So what I'm concentrating on is three things: rhythm, rhyme, and meaning. And the most important of the three is meaning. It's got to have substance or relevance, or I have to excite you in one of three levels: either your head, your heart, or your funny bone. Now, I say that for a joke. It's got to be your humor, or your heart strings, or even to appeal to you mentally. And of course, the best of all would be all three, which is usually impossible, but it has been done. Like the poem that I remember the most was, let me see, Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, The Village Blacksmith. And I remember when I heard this poem, it changed my life. When I was just a boy, I knew what I wanted to be. And let me just get to the line that I don't mean to bore the people with it.
No. This is great. I love hearing about this. This is great.
Okay. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, and the muscles on his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sledge with measured beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. Now that appealed to me, but there was another line in there, and it goes, and he looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. And because of that, I never, ever, ever, ever got a mortgage. I never had a car payment. I will not owe any man. And if I owe you money, I will not sleep or eat until I pay you back. Because I became a fanatical, no-debt guy. I have a credit card because you need one in order to rent a car. But I don't use it to pile up debts. Okay?
Yeah.
So I pay every month, and everything is square. Now, I'm not saying that that's the way for everybody, and a lot of people will say that I'm a crazy man for thinking this. But I remember what really made me mad was WrestleMania 29 in New York. Maria Menounos gave the greatest speech for a great, great man, Bob Backlund.
Yes, yes.
And you know what they did? They booed her right out of the building.
That was terrible. Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, most wrestlers are all, you know, libertines, you know, no moral value whatsoever. Well, here's Bob Backlund, and he is a full-grown Boy Scout, and he's led an exemplary life. And, of course, in New York, they would laugh at that, you know, or boo, you know, like, or say that, you know, and, you know, Maria Menounos, what a beautiful girl. I mean, why would they boo her? You know, because maybe they think because they paid to get in, they can boo anybody they want.
Yeah.
But I just think, you know, when I say I love the fans, I do, but not all of them, not the haters.
Yeah, there's a certain level of you know, respect that we went to the I know they used to do when they did the Hall of Fame back in the 90s when they started, it was kind of a private thing, and then when they started it back up again, it was at WrestleMania 20, and I went there. It was at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square, and it was, you had to be dressed up, and it was like a thing. You had a dress code. We had to wear suits and ties as fans just going, and it's one of those things. I think it's lost that where it's, you know, when they do it in the arenas and everything now, and I know they're, you know, trying to sell tickets and everything like that, but I think it's lost a little bit, you know. Some fans don't necessarily, and maybe newer fans don't necessarily quite have the respect that they should.
I agree 100%. And you have to admit, in Charlotte, everything was done on a high-class level, true or false.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people, I know that the Hall of Heroes, you know, induction and the plaque and all that has a lot of meaning for a lot of the guys there, because they know it's, you know, from where it comes from, and you know, a lot of those, especially those fans in that area, you know, are just remember things from. It's amazing how much you know, that they remember that the stuff that you guys have done that stick with them all these years later.
I remember in New Orleans, I was in the audience and I saw the Jumbotron behind Jerry Lawler, and I was impressed with that because the technical aspect has gone a lot higher, and everything, you know, at least in New Orleans, the fans behaved with some dignity. But in Madison Square Garden that night a few years ago, not at all. Not at all.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I just want to take a quick break from our interview to tell everybody about one of our great sponsors, WrestlingDVDnews.com. Visit WrestlingDVDnews.com for exclusive insider news and reviews on all the latest WWE DVDs and Blu-rays first. What's the next WWE DVD release on the horizon? Which should you buy and which should you avoid? How is the WWE Network changing the company's strategy on DVDs? Plus, get involved with their multiple giveaways each and every month for your chance to win WWE DVDs absolutely free. It's all happening now at WrestlingDVDnews.com. Now, back to our interview. I know a lot of people have asked you about the Hall of Fame and everything like that, and that's something that's been a topic that's come up in discussion a lot. I guess is that something that did that sort of stick, that incident, is that sort of stuck out in your mind, or is that something that you would be concerned about in any of that situation?
Well, I'm between a rock and a hard place, and my brother died at the age of 58 and a half, and it was the day that I turned 59 that I had an epiphany. I'm very lucky to be retired, so I don't get up in the morning and take a shower and put on a suit and go somewhere. I get up in the morning and go play basketball, or go to the gym, or do anything I want to do. And on my birthday, not this one, but the last one, I said to myself, man, I am 59 years old. This is, that makes me the older brother. And my brother expressed many times that he did not want to go in the Hall of Fame by himself. He wanted to go as a member of the Poffo family. And he was the kind of a guy that keep talking after he made his point. But I would think back on my life, and I didn't always get my way because I was the youngest. And it was like, if you've seen the Brady Bunch, it was Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
Right, yeah.
You know, except in my case, it was Macho, Macho, Macho. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. He had his way, and I gave him his way as much as I possibly can. And now I'm not a Star Trek guy. I mean, I'm not a Trekkie that goes to conventions. But I do watch, Star Trek. I know who it is. I know what it is. And I remember the needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And I think to myself, Randy loved the fans. Not the fans that booed Bob Backlund, but most of the fans. And let's face it, if it wasn't for the fans, the Macho Man wouldn't have had the beautiful life that he had. I mean, he entertained them. They supported him. It was a mutual love affair. And I believe that even though it was not Randy's wishes, since I am the lone survivor, I have earned the right to veto Randy's wishes. And I have decided to allow the Macho Man to go into the Hall of Fame by himself. I am not going to win a blinking contest with Vince McMahon. I know that he's more of a man than anybody I've ever met. He's got the will and the determination he would cut off his nose to spite his face. Randy should have been in the Hall of Fame many, many years ago. But I want you to know, I hate to think that I am, going against my brother's wishes, but do you understand the reason I'm doing it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the same thing with, that's why it was great to see, you be such a part of the DVD that was just released, and your mother as well. To see, that as a fan, it was great to see the stories that you both told and that she told. It was really something special, and so I could definitely see your point.
So you did see the DVD then?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it was when I saw the DVD that I realized that I wanted to be the one to induct my brother. Since I'm the one that had to give the dispensation from his wishes, I would like to be the one to induct him into the Hall of Fame. And when I saw the DVD, I loved a lot of the remarks of the people, and I loved some of the people that were in it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was amazed to find out how little they knew about Randy when they spoke. For example, and this may seem like just a minor detail to you, but they said that Randy married his high school sweetheart. And that's a pretty good trick since he's from Illinois and she's from South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Even the Macho Man can't keep a relationship alive, from that. It was his post-high school sweetheart.
Oh, okay.
And they met in Sarasota. That's not high school. She's got a Southern accent. She doesn't have a Chicago accent like I do, or a Buckeye accent like you got.
Right.
And another thing, I would never say anything against Jimmy Hart, Jerry Lawler, or Hulk Hogan for the simple reason that if it wasn't for Jimmy Hart, Randy wouldn't have got to get to Memphis. And if Randy hadn't gotten to Memphis, Randy wouldn't have gotten to New York. And I have personal reasons never to criticize Hulk Hogan because I was a journeyman all my career, and save for 4 months where I was the nemesis of the legendary Hulk Hogan. So just because he hasn't done anything for me lately, I don't want to join the enormous group of people that have bitten the hand that fed them.
Sure.
I love Hulk Hogan for what he did for me. He chose to work with me, on NBC, and that was quite a highlight in my career. As a matter of fact, as long as you have selective amnesia, then I've got a star-studded career. I made 32 appearances at Madison Square Garden. 2 of them were in main events, and both of them were with Hulk Hogan. So I am very appreciative. There were a few people on the DVD that made me cringe, but that's just, in a way, that's good because you ever see a babyface match where you think you want to see it, but then you go get popcorn during it?
Sure, many times.
So it's good that we had a few heels in there too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I hated it, but I realized the DVD is also entertainment, and it also illustrates, the people that Randy had to deal with, namely Pat Patterson.
Yeah, and the whole, obviously, a lot is. I think what the DVD did too is I think it filled in a lot of gaps for us fans too, who might not have been aware of what he was up to kind of later on in his life, kind of after he sort of wasn't making as many wrestling appearances too, which was nice. Got to hear more about the charity work and those kind of things.
Oh yeah, man, he loved charity. And I'll tell you what. You asked me what my favorite poem was. I'm going to tell you what Randy's favorite poem was. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called the Special Olympics, and there's something about that name. It's taking people off the bench and putting them back in the game. No one should ever be denied the chance to grab the center stage or share an honest, open smile with other boys and girls their age. For personal satisfaction or just having a little fun, the spirit of competition is the birthright of everyone. It's a very special moment when they pass the torch and run. In the words of Charles Dickens, God bless us, everyone. And I'm going to tell you what, Randy loved the Special Olympics. There's a 4.2 million children and adults. And they are, talk about underdogs. They have the deck stacked against them every single day of their lives. And Randy loved them, and they loved Randy. And that was Randy's. Randy never said no to a charity, but I believe it was the Special Olympics that filled the void in Randy's heart for never having his own biological children.
That poem gave me little goosebumps here, just listening to you recite that here. Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
I'll tell you what, I love to reminisce about the many, many times Randy and I would go to the Special Olympics, and he gave me 3 jobs. Get the music to the music guy, read my poem, and introduce him. And, I hate to date myself, but I didn't do the music on MP3 or on CD. We had a thing called cassette.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
If I was any older, I would talk about 8-track. So
right,
give me a break there.
Yeah, at least it's not that far back. Yeah, or the old gramophone maybe.
Yeah, his master's voice. Remember that? Yeah, RCA. But I'll tell you what, you should see. And I got to give kudos to WWE. They would always send a mountain of free merchandise so Randy could stand there like Santa Claus, giving away T-shirts, posters, baseball caps. And not one of those athletes left without a bushel basket full of beautiful memories, personally autographed by the Macho Man himself. So kudos to WWE and kudos to the Macho Man.
Did you ever guys have conversations again? I mean, it must be. I can't imagine. You hear about these celebrities or people that go and either they meet a Make-A-Wish person or they or go to something like this, the Special Olympics, and seeing the impact that they're making. I mean, what kind of conversations did you guys have after going, to one of those events and just knowing what kind of a high is that like just after being there and experiencing that?
Well, do you remember a guy named Mick Jagger?
Of course, yeah.
Well, remember him singing about "I can't get no satisfaction"?
Absolutely.
Well, I suggest Mick You should have gone with the Macho Man to the Special Olympics. You would get all the satisfaction you could handle.
That's a great way to put it. That's great. Oh, that's and this is the kind of stuff I really appreciate you talking about and sharing these memories. Especially about your brother and everything else. Is there ever has there ever been a time though? I mean, and I don't want to ask this like the wrong way, but I mean, has there been any time that you I guess like kind of later on was there ever a time where because he was kind of more reclusive and everything else, did you guys have any conversations, because you were kind of still always making public appearances and things like that? Was there ever a time where that anybody tried to go through you to get to him or something like that, to kind of get him to?
Every time, all the time. I would always, they would always, Lanny, oh boy. And then say, is there any way you could help me get the Macho Man? So I was like I was the gatekeeper. So, and I'll tell you what, most of the time, I would always go over to Randy and say, look, here's the deal. This is the offer. And he would invariably say no. Couple of times, I think it was that game he did at the end there. That turned out to be good. That turned out to be a good thing. And remember the interview we made?
Absolutely. I was just, as a fan, seeing that, I was so excited to see that.
And it looks just like me. Not now, but then.
Yeah.
And I understand that people in San Diego went nuts when he did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he takes his sunglasses off and he blinks. Not now, but then. It looks just like me.
Well, I guess we were talking about the DVD and everything, and your mother's involvement, and I just wanted to tell you something real quick as a quick little sidebar here. I put together a video for to kind of announcing your family's induction into the Hall of Heroes for Greg Price, as we talked about before, and I've done a lot of. I got to work with a lot of music artists and high-profile major record labels, and I've gotten some praise for some work that I've done. But like when you told me that you really enjoyed it and you showed it to your mother and she really enjoyed it, I mean, that meant so much to me, and that was really special to hear.
Well, I'll tell you what. Really, you were always polite and professional from day one, and I do appreciate that. But I want to tell you that I live with my mother. When Randy died, she kind of fell apart, and so I sold my house and I moved in with her. And she's going to be 88 in January 28th. And I thought one of the reasons that the DVD is so good is because of her. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, 100%. Totally agree with that.
And she said she didn't want to be in it because she's still angry because the WWE never, expressed their condolences of when my father died or my brother. And with the exception of Howard Finkel, and again, about half an hour, about 7 months ago, I spoke to Steve Lombardi, and he expressed his condolences. So make that two. But I'm going to tell you what. Kieran Bent was the producer of the DVD, and he was such a gentleman. He brought flowers for my mother. He expressed his condolences, and all five of the people on his staff, lighting, sound, B-roll and whatever, all these people, what classy gentlemen they were. And I promise you, John, if they hadn't been classy, I would tell you they weren't.
Sure.
But you couldn't ask for finer people than those people, and I thought they did a great job of editing, and I liked the music they chose to be in it. And, I'm getting a lot of good compliments on the DVD, and, I'm glad because I didn't want to make something that Randy wouldn't have liked.
Yeah, I think it was definitely It was well done, of course. And again, there were a lot of stories and things in there that it almost felt more like a shoot interview at times at certain points where there was a lot of sort of insider information that they might not have normally included in some of their releases.
Well, Kieran Bent was asking me questions, and I was just answering off the cuff. And every time I answered, I thought to myself, well, they'll never put that in. But, I just kept answering the questions. Well, he wound up putting all of it in. So you can't ask for better than that. The only thing that isn't in there, and I want the fans to know that Randy was very, very happy in the WWE. He loved every minute of it. The first thing that happened to change that was November 16th, 1987. There was a battle royal for legends. Pat O'Connor, Luthez, Gene Kiniski, Bobo Brazil, Killer Kowalski, all those, Eduardo Carpentier. The list goes on and on. But Randy tried to get my father to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, not the Hall of Fame, but the
Battle Royal, yeah.
And they said no. And Randy blamed Pat Patterson and Jay Strongbow for their influence on Vince McMahon, because it was not a big thing to ask for. And Randy never, ever forgave them for that.
Was there any reason why they didn't? I mean, was it just a political thing, or was there? I mean, why would they have said no to your father and not and had all these other guys in there?
I'll tell you what. That's a question for you to ask Pat Patterson, because you can't ask Strongbow anymore because he's gone.
Yeah.
But since neither man, offered condolences to my father or my brother, I have not much, something. You asked me how I keep so young. I don't wallow in hatred and bitterness. I put it in my rear view mirror as fast as I can. But I also, one of the reasons I'm still young is because I don't let anything fester. In other words, I get it out there.
Sure.
And then I relax. In other words, if I would let it build up inside me, that would age me faster than anything. One of the reasons that I'm so healthy at this late date is because I want to live. I don't have a gun in my hand pointed at my head. I don't take drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And I'm not depressed. But if somebody is remiss, I will mention it to you. And it is horribly rude for when you don't express your condolences when somebody dies, even if you're glad he's dead. They should have. And I saw Pat Patterson a month before my father died. I was in Jack Briscoe's funeral, and he came up to me and said, "You look familiar, but I can't place you." And I said, "That's because my hair is different. My name is Lanny Poffo." "Oh, Lanny, oh my God, yeah, blah, blah, blah." You know what I mean? So, when my father died, I got condolences from all over the world. When Randy died, all over the universe. But you know what? There are people that owe me an apology, and you're not going to get away with it because every time I'm interviewed, I will speak.
Sure, it's one of those things where you can forgive and let it go, but you can't. Sometimes you just can't forget certain things.
Now, having said that, I also credit WWE for giving me a very, very happy life, and my brother too. I mean, what a fantastic ride it's been. But you know what? There's always going to be bottom feeders that are going to try to make your life miserable. And unfortunately, some of those bottom feeders were in places of, authority.
Yeah.
They had the power to fire you. And they cavorted around, by the way, Pat Patterson hated Strongbow and Strongbow hated Patterson. You should have heard them talk against each other
Sure.
behind their own back. And anyway, So anyway, let's talk about something nice.
I wanted to ask you too, just sort of like these days. I want to kind of ask you what some of your hobbies and interests are. You kind of mentioned that you play basketball a lot and things like that. But what's a typical day like for you? What are you kind of into? Are you do you? I'm sure you stay active a lot, but do you watch a lot of TV or what are you into these days?
Well, I try not to watch any TV because, like I say, there's no guarantee I'll be here tomorrow, and I don't want to be able to say on my judgment day that I spent it watching television. However, I do belong to the MLB.com, and I love to watch baseball. And I don't always follow any particular team. It's just that I follow players, okay?
Yeah.
And that gives me that way I can watch out-of-market games. Like, for example, Madison Bumgarner has really fascinated me now since his World Series. He's so cold, and Joey Votto was, when I came to Cincinnati, he gave my daughter and I and my son-in-law a full, it couldn't have been nicer. And you would think a guy like that would be so stuck up. Well, he is not. He's a nice man. And he showed us all around the Great American Ballpark. And, of course, his kindness, because you know how it is. A lot of these guys think they're all that, or they read their own publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And, I used to love the Cubs, but I thought, why should I love the Cubs? Ernie Banks never did that for me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm going to be nice to the people that were nice to me. And wasn't that great that Larry Herndon of the Detroit Tigers talked about my brother so nicely?
Yeah.
On the DVD?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's that's why it's a great thing to have, getting different perspectives too of people like that,
Well, he's got a World Series ring from 1984, and my brother and him started together in minor league baseball, and of course, Randy didn't make it in baseball, but he certainly didn't make it in life.
Yeah, absolutely, because wonder, he wonder if the Macho Man would have been, big. Either way, he would have been a big superstar as he was.
Well, thank God for dreams that don't come true, because he would have had to fail in baseball to make it in wrestling, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's why you say sometimes there's no guarantees in life, but sometimes you got to make the most of what happens, and I think that's the people that are the most successful are the ones that look at doors closing as an opportunity for another one to open.
That's right. That's very good.
Well, I wanted to wrap things up here. Just a couple of things. I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the WWE Network. Because right now, as we speak, anybody can go back and watch that match that you had with Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event, which is on there. So, what are your thoughts on that? And I guess have you gotten some feedback from newer fans who've kind of gone back and rediscovered, some of your matches and things that they might not have been able to find as easier before?
Well, believe it or not, I was in the grocery store, and a 12-year-old kid came up to me and said, "Are you Lanny Poffo?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Can I have your autograph?" And I said, "Well, how do you know me? You're 12 years old." And he says, "I'm a WWE Network." And I said, "Well, I'll be." Because, first of all, I've shaved my beard, and, I have a Clark Kent hairdo now. So I'm not trying to be Superman anymore. And it's amazing. You're getting new fans from that. So, I used to, eat with Randy and Elizabeth, and I'd be like the Invisible Man. They'd ask for their autographs and not mine. So, now they're coming up to me. So that's but fame is fleeting, and you can't take it seriously. It's just a temporary situation. But I'll tell you what, I have never, ever, ever refused an autograph because I know how it feels. I was 12 years old in Waikiki Beach in Hawaii, and Art Linkletter refused my autograph. He even told me to buzz off, and he didn't say buzz. And it hurt so much that I swore I'd never do that to anybody. Now, you asked me what I was doing with my life. Besides the aristocratic pleasure of doing absolutely nothing, I attend to my mother's needs. I still Skype with my daughter, who's living in Lexington, Kentucky, and she's married now and doing well. And life is good. It's great to be in Florida. I know that you're freezing your butt off in Toledo, and everybody was complaining because the temperature dropped to 50 last night.
Oh no!
Over here.
We have minus 20 wind chills here, so
yeah.
But I wanted to, I guess with having said all that, it sounds like everything's going great for you, and you have a great life at this point, and you're looking as youthful as ever. What's coming up? I guess I should ask maybe where can people find you online or on Twitter and all that? Can you tell everybody where they could find Lanny Poffo?
Okay, go on geniuslannypoffo.com. That's GENIUS. You shouldn't have had to ask me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, okay, Genius, GENIUS, LANNYPOFFO.com. And that's my website, and that's where you can go and I got a real nice tribute to my brother on there. And that's where you can go to see what I'm up to. And I'd like to thank my web guy, Jeff Doherty, in Prince Edward Island for all his tech work, because turns out the genius isn't actually the genius, just a gimmick. But I do write my own poetry.
And you can see your books there, too, as well, right?
Right, and, one thing I love telling people is both books are now available on Kindle. And because of that, that levels the playing field between self-publishers, small publishers, and Random House. Because, we don't have the distribution that those guys do. So both of my books are international bestsellers. So to all the Random Houses and Simon & Schuster's that said no to me, or in most cases didn't even say no, just didn't even answer my letter, even WWE didn't want to publish my work. In the words of Eric Cartman,
Oh, that's a great note to end on here. And I just want to thank you so much, for taking the time to do this and share the stories and the memories and everything else. And, to kind of also, it's great to hear kind of the other side of things with, the health and getting into poetry and all that is really, really great to, a lot of fun to talk about. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, John. And thanks for conducting such a high-class interview. And to anybody listening out there, my words of advice, do your best and forget the rest.
All right, there you have it. That's our interview with Lanny Poffo. And I had a lot of fun talking to Lanny, as I always do. We've had many conversations outside of this interview here. And, he's a real interesting guy. Very well-spoken, obviously. I mean, he's a genius, and one of the things I really encourage everybody to do is after this interview, I went back and I watched on the network, I guess the genius in all of his glory, really. I mean, when he, it's the, I believe the November 1989 Saturday Night's Main Event where he faced Hulk Hogan, one-on-one match with Hulk Hogan on network television. Can't get much better than that. And then also the next Saturday Night's Main Event, the first one in 1990, where the Genius and Mr. Perfect teamed up to take on the Ultimate Warrior and the Hulkster there. And again, it's really cool to see that. And as a kid too, growing up, I mean, the like Mr. Perfect was always one of our favorites, at least our favorite heel as kids growing up. So, we definitely had a lot of love for the Genius too. Seeing as how he was with Mr. Perfect there, and especially there's other great genius moments you could check out him with the Beverly Brothers and all that, and Royal Rumble '92. There's a whole deal with him and Jameson, that's a name that hasn't been spoken a lot. So Jameson and the Genius and all that, definitely check that out. That's what's so great about the network is I could just, you could just sort of freshen up on these things, and they're right at the tip of our fingers here, And again, the whole thing with Randy being inducted couldn't be happier for Lanny and his family. And as I said in the interview, I mean, it was a real honor for me to be able to put a little video together that Lanny got to enjoy, and he said his mother enjoyed for an event last year. So that really meant a lot to me, and I know how much it means to them now that Randy's getting the recognition that he deserves. So it means a lot to his fans as well. But that's all the time we have for today on Tuesday's show. But as I said, Friday, we are going to be even that much closer to the 2015 Royal Rumble. And so, Quaylen, I'm going to have my buddy Quaylen back on the show. We're going to be talking about all things Royal Rumble. We're going to be talking about, the different things that you can experience, the best and worst moments of the Rumble that you need to check out. And, we're going to make a Royal Rumble playlist as well, as I did back for the Survivor Series. You can see that on the website, but you can check out my Royal Rumble playlist. Part 1 of that I'll have up on the site. Should be up there by now at 999nation.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on Friday.
Thank you for listening. For more, visit the Network Nation at 999nation.com.